Irwindale over the materials recovery facility, which is being proposed on the corner of Main Avenue, or I should say, Main Avenue and Live Oak, which also crosses along Arrow Highway, and that is in opposition to that. So we'll see that we will report that out as we continue on. So at this point, seeing no further item to report out of the study session, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adjourn. Second, any objections? See none, so move. All right, at this point, I'd like to open up the ballpark regular city council meeting. Today is June the 20th, 2016. I will also open up the finance committee, the housing authority, and the successor agency as well, concurrent. So I will ask Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco to lead us in invocation. So I will ask all those that are able to stand to please do so. Thank you.
Everybody stand, and also keep in mind those that for those that all in harm's way and Orlando. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity that we have here together, government officials, to make bless our police.
Thank you. This point, we're going to face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want to say good evening to everyone. I'd like to close on behalf of a friend of mine, a friend of the community, Ernestina G. Acosta. Lived in Baldwin Park for many, many years. She passed last week as she was visiting one of her daughters out of state. So our deepest condolences goes out. Her son is Frank Acosta, who worked as an interim program here in the city of Baldwin Park about maybe 10 years ago. She was born May 18th, 1928. So our deepest condolences goes out to Ernestina G. Acosta. Anyone else wishing to close on anyone's behalf? All right. If not, Madam City Clerk or City Treasurer, Maria Contreras, we're going to take roll call.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. Councilmember Cruz Baca.
Here.
Councilmember Susan Rubio.
Present.
Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Monica Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Manuel Lozano.
Present. Thank you very much. All right. Council members have any...
I want to share some exciting news. We're always so proud of our students at our high schools. We have 3, and we're equally proud of all of them. But there's a gentleman that just got drafted from our Baldwin Park High School to the Chicago White Sox. So that's pretty impressive. And so we want to congratulate him. His name is Bernardo Flores, and I'd like to invite him at a later time so we can honor him possibly at one of the concerts in our park.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
All the community can share in that great success. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I'd just like to make an announcement. Thank you. To remind everyone that tomorrow at 6:30 here in the council chambers, we are going to be having a meeting with Metrolink in regards to the train noise. And for those of you that live in Baldwin Park, because I hear that residents clear out to Arrow Highway can hear the horn, please do come or pass the word. This is very important that we let them know and our voice be heard that it is intolerable. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Councilmember Cruz Baca. All right, so at this point, we have nothing else we're reporting out on. I'll go into the proclamations and presentations. The first one that we have is the presentation of certificate of recognition to Michelle Boone and Andrew J. Gallegos, both students at Baldwin Park High School, for being selected to receive the Mark Daniel Flores Music Scholarship. Mr. Flores, Ms. Flores, you go ahead, step up to the lectern. Yes, sir.
Did we ever get the IT guy? Because I have a little clip.
Yeah, we do. Gentleman's coming behind you, Ms. Flores. He'll help you out.
Okay, great.
Definitely have to have that, USB.
Great. Well, in the meantime, I'd sure would like to introduce to you 2 of our recent recipients of the Mark Daniel Flores Music Foundation. This is our 7th year, and we're very proud of these two individuals, outstanding musicians. And our first one up, if we can get it. Well, let me go on about Michelle. Each year we have the privilege of some of the most talented young people here in our community. And this year we get 2 winners. But it was kind of a little difficult because there was only 0.2% off from the second to the third person to win. So it was really, really close. And our winner, she started playing the piano at the age of 7. And that was her start of her musical career. And her piano teacher introduced her to classical music and the works of the appreciation of Frederick Chopin. But not only did our winner excel in music, but academics started to unfold. She was the top of her class at Vineland. Oh, here we go. Let's go ahead and play that.
Excellent, excellent.
Now, how long have you been playing the piano?
I've been playing the piano for...
Let's put up to the mic.
11 years.
You're speaking to the mic.
Oh, sorry.
I've been playing the piano for almost 11 years now.
Wow, fantastic, excellent.
Thank you very much.
And besides that, playing beautifully, she's very strong academically. And she has won all kinds of accolades. She was the top honors in Vineland Elementary. She was Student of the Year at Jones. She won district awards for Spelling Bee. And for 3 consecutive years, she won the Red Ribbon Essay. And she is the top 10 of her 2016 class.
Wow.
She's the vice president of the orchestra committee, and the vice president of the Key Club. And in band, she was the principal viola. And she banked over 1,000 hours of community service, and a lot of them were right here in Baldwin Park, weren't they? And she helped sort recyclables, tutored, helped with the relay race, and a lot of events at Morgan Park. And she helped replant the local areas in the Emerald Necklace Project. And she helped the homeless and sang at church choirs, at Christmas carols, a teacher's aide. But the best part is she volunteered at Kaiser. And that's where she saw that she wanted to be a pediatrician. And she hopes to go to school and become a pediatrician.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Excellent.
And our next winner is Andrew Gallegos. Oh, by the way, they both come from Baldwin Park High School. And this is the first year that's happened to us. Usually we have one from either school, but this time, both Baldwin Park. And he plays the violin.
Wow.
He's actually very, very good.
Now, are they still at BP High?
No, they just graduated.
Oh, they just graduated 2016. Okay, congratulations.
Yeah. So they're both out, and they both show very promising careers in their music, as well as, pediatrician and biology. But Andrew comes, and he was the librarian in his orchestra. And he is also the concert master, and he won top honors for the orchestra ensemble.
Wow.
And he would make his classmates feel very, very comfortable, that he helped them out with very difficult passages. And he was featured as a soloist at the Baldwin Park High School last winter concert. And he did it with ease and maturity. He also performs in his church choir. After performing at a Christmas concert for the church in Echo Park, an amazing opportunity opened up for him. He met a woman named Michelle Zabkowski. No, I always say it wrong. Okay, good. And she really enjoyed his performance, so much that she offered him a scholarship to go to the Culbert School of Music, which is the equivalent of Juilliard here in the West. And so he's been attending that. And it's only known as accepting the very best of the best. And during our audition, he expressed how he wants to give back to the community of Baldwin Park, and that one day soon he'll be able to form his own foundation and give money back. And he's going to major in biology and minor in computer science. And listen to him play. You're going to see he's fantastic.
How do you say last name?
Before consent.
Great talent. Awesome. Congratulations. Excellent. Let me bring them up here.
And we were hoping we could take a picture.
Absolutely. Well, let me just read these certificates that go. How do you pronounce it? Is it Vu, your last name? Okay. So this one goes to Michelle Vu. It reads Ballpark High School. The City Council of the City of Baldwin Park congratulates you for being the recipient of the 2016 Mark Daniel Flores Music Foundation Scholarship. We wish you continued success on your academic endeavors, and that also goes for Andrew J. Gallegos. So come on up here, and we'll give you these certificates. Thank you.
Are your parents here?
Carrion.
Are they here with you, Michelle? Andrew, can you ask them to come up with you so they can also take a picture with you? I think they also deserve a big round of applause because I'm sure they put a lot of time into their education. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Let me know, okay? Be in touch with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Such talented. Good news. Thank you. Thank you.
Robert, are you leaving us?
Really? It's funny, that's actually one of the instruments I wanted to play at first.
String instruments are very difficult.
We're going to Michelle, come on. Floor, sir. Thank you, sir. Michelle, come on in here.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, was it too?
Let's put them in the middle, you guys. Let's get it. Bring everyone, bring the family. Okay, do we all fit? Okay. Here we go, here we go.
The chairs are in the way. Oh, the chairs are in the way.
Got it? Go ahead.
They're working it good now.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank the parents. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Best of luck. Thank you. Michelle, thank you. Best of luck. See you soon. Thank you so much. Congratulations. I hope so. Mr. Flores, Ms. Flores, Michelle, and I hope so. Mr. Gallegos. Where's Ms. Flores? Oh, yeah. Let's get okay. In the middle. Can we get in the middle? Yeah, get in the middle. In between the two. There we go. Yeah, that's right.
Love.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can we do our red camera?
Oh, yes.
That's the getaway camera.
Here? Vanessa here today?
Thank you.
Not, huh?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very much. Okay, so.
See you at the summer concerts.
Yes. All right, so the want to thank the recipients today for their talent to music. It's very important. I think that carries and says a lot about the talent that comes out of the city of Baldwin Park and as they go on to their career. When also special thanks goes out to Mr. and Mrs. Flores. About 7 years ago, they lost their only son to a tragic accident on Foster. Yet they continue to keep his spirit alive by the various scholarships that they have presented to so many students. I want to thank you on behalf of the city of Baldwin Park. We look forward in seeing you at the concert. And before I forget, the two recipients, their names are going to be on the marquee tomorrow. So look for your names on the marquee in front of Morgan Park. And thank your parents, and thank you for being here. All right, the next presentation that we have, Vanessa Carvajal is not present. All right, the presentation of certificates of recognition to winners of the Arbor Day 2016 Art Contest, which includes students from grades at kindergarten through 6th grade from eight schools in Baldwin Park. So we're going to read off the recipients' names, and we'll get them up here. I'm going to have the Vice Mayor read these off.
Okay, so we present this certificate of recognition to the individuals that I'm going to be calling up and representing their schools. And the City Council congratulates you for winning the art drawing contest that was selected at the Arbor Day Celebration Environmental Fair. Thank you for your hard work and dedication and for the favorable recognition you bring to your school and our community. And so with that, I'd like to ask Yanisi Madrigal with Geddes Elementary to come up.
All right, Geddes, is she here? No? All righty.
Christian Pincus with Geddes Elementary, come on up.
Not here? Where's Geddes at?
Noah Ramirez, Geddes.
All right, come on up here.
All right, Noah, he's representing. Mila Ramos with Birch Elementary. Good job, Mila. Leonardo Areola with Heath Elementary School. That's my neighbor.
Let me go.
Brian Law with Heath Elementary School. And then Hung Liu with Tracy Elementary School, my former school. Congratulations, Hung. Jaril Dallin with Tracy Elementary School. Did I say that right? Angel Lamelli with Elwyn Elementary School. Banksy Liu, Santa Fe Elementary School. Is Banksy here? Okay. Maria Tinoco with Dianza Elementary School. And Yasmin Alvarado with Walnut Elementary School. All right, Yazzie.
O'Malley, no. No, there's a... Okay. All right, here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, take a few here. Okay. 1, 2, and take 2 pictures. 1, 2, hold it, please. Camera. More. Please have the parents meet out here in the corridor.
We're going to place them in the now. Thank you. Thank you. They will be featured in the now paper. That'll be very nice. Okay, the next one, do we have Lorraine Leyva here? Okay. Okay, that's fine. So, all right, so that one will be skipped, right? Okay, all right, so that's the end of our presentations. Tinka's not here. Is that part of the group as well? So, all right, so before I open up the public communication, I guess that was the last presentation that we have. We have the plaque here, so we'll save that, I guess, for concert area. I just want to, before we start up, I want to congratulate in the State Assembly, Ms. Blanca Rubio, who was the top go-getter on there. And also for the Congress, we have Ms. Grace Napolitano that returns back to her office. So I think we're all excited about that. Did I miss any others?
No, Mayor, but I just had a couple of quick announcements. Again, the concerts in the park are coming back. They're starting on June 30th, so hopefully you could all attend that. And we also have our Baldwin Park Summer Recreation Guide. A lot of times I get parents ask me questions about what can we do for our community and what can we do, to help our kids to make sure that they're doing something productive and involved in some activity. So we have a lot of summer programs and a recreation guide that is online, and I think it was possibly mailed out. I'm not sure, but it was mailed out to the community. Yes. So we can look at that. It has a lot of good programs there. And also next week on June 29th, we have Coffee with the Cops. It's going to be at Tony's Donut House between 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. It's on Ramona. It's the new donut shop that just opened up. So you can come and meet our police officers there and just really there's nothing formal. It's just to sit down and talk with our officers. And of course our very famous 4th of July program is coming back. So we're going to have our 4th of July event, which will be very interesting for all of us to show up and celebrate together as a community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Yes, Councilmember
Mayor,
Cruz-Baca.
first of all, I'd like to congratulate Carol and Ken Woods for 60-year anniversary.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, God bless them. You don't see that very often, you know, maybe my mom and dad's generation, but blessings to the both of you. And also this coming Saturday, the 25th, St. John's is having their social services fundraiser. It starts at 6 o'clock, and it's a lot of fun. It's a luau, but the social services fundraising goes directly back into the community for some of our homeless, some of the vouchers for hotel accommodations when families are homeless, or the food bank that's on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. So those of you that would like to come and dance, there's going to be Polynesian dancers this time. So please come and join us. It's a lot of fun. It's at St. John's at their parish hall at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that announcement. All right, so at this point, we see no further presentations. I'm going to go ahead and go into the public communication. Anyone wishing to speak, please state your name. You have approximately 3 minutes. Don't see it there, Manny? Whoa. Mike has it?
What's he do?
Kenwood's resident. So, I have this friend. He's also a longtime Baldwin Park business owner. You know, the one you slander every week. I think he feels the crap you spew out, it's not even worth defending. And that must tick you off. You say everything like, everything he says is a lie. Come on. You say he hates Hispanic women. Where on earth does that come from? He hates Hispanic women. You keep bringing up these restraining orders. The courts have never enforced one. Not even the one you three brought against him. You even gone so far as to ask citizens to boycott his business, his Baldwin Park business. You've asked to have him, Anyway, don't you have anything more important to do with your time on this city council? Like giving the Sid Masavi character more power and more consulting fees? Your actions are just unprofessional. I can tell you one thing we don't need around here, and that's another Donald Trump.
All right, moving along with public communication.
Hello, City Council, Baldwin Park residents. You know, we started out pretty good this year, it seems. But now we're taking a tailspin, and you guys are going right with it, all of you. Financially, we're supposed to be doing good. Now the latest rumor is we're not doing good. What do you people do up here? You don't answer to anybody because you don't care. How many times have any of you have the gall enough to stand up and tell us out here in the public how much money we owe and how much money we don't make? You want us to go through your paperwork? You should be able to tell us. That's why you're there. You work for the city residents. I know you don't think so, but you should. You let Mr. Walls disappear. Why? Why is it that one person up here had the gall enough to tell you goodbye? And the rest of you say goodbye. I'm looking at all of you. Financially, they said we were doing good. How come all of a sudden we're not? Where's all this money going? You're spending more than you're making. You guys sound like the average young person. What I put in my pocket, I spend today and forget about next week. Why do you people do that? You think us residents want to pay millions and millions of dollars for the rest of our lives? That's what you people are doing. You do it every city council. You couldn't show up last Wednesday. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. What's the matter with you people? You have nobody here. Just the people that got presentations they showed up. Now they're all gone. What are you people doing to this city? The one lady asked, how come everybody rejects us? Well, you people should get out and look at the city. You have people parking all over, 18-wheelers parking all over the place. Behind buildings, in buildings, all over the place. Has any of you guys used a code enforcer to correct any of this? People park their vehicles out in the lawn. You have that regulation. You have people varying things. Ice cream mans so claim you got a grandfather closet. Don't ask me where you find it, but you find it. Maybe we're paying the lawyer too much money. Maybe we ought to fire him and hire somebody else. City CEO, same thing. You guys are spending more money than you can make. Then I'll tell you one thing. Next business comes in, we'll give you the land, and you make all your money. And then you let it go at that. There's my 3 minutes again.
Thank you.
John Rios, residents. The last meeting that we had, Mayor, I asked you, where do you guys get a special little bank to give yourself raises? To figures the way you guys did it, 35%? That's around average, 35% to give yourself in closed doors? We never got a response to that. There was a request that I want, or you want me to put it in writing, I'll give it to you. Okay? Isn't that against the Brown Act for you guys to have yourselves a raise in closed doors? Isn't it supposed to be the citizens that decide if you guys can get 35%? Okay? The union workers right now at the grocery stores, they're asking for 10 cents. Not 35%, 10 cents. A little bit of better medical During the year, you played maybe kind of dirty politician, You went after Cruz Baca with her brother, okay? The last meeting, you went after Susan because she's getting divorced. That's a personal thing. At least she got married. But everybody knows what's happening in the city, what happens to her, Mrs. Baca, the CEO, Monica. Everybody knows. Everybody knows what's happening. Pacheco, nice truck, Pacheco. But those are the things that as citizens, the people from De Anza and that area, they want answers, okay? You lied to them about the little hospital they were going to put over there, that you're going to help them and do that. They don't trust you no more, okay? They had to do it by themselves. Blanca helped them, But it's something that, as a lawyer and a CEO, you guys have to start doing your jobs. Dan, you rather resign, haven't signed any contracts, okay? You wasn't going to get caught. It's like Southgate right here, Montebello, all those cities are going crooked, okay? You're in my hometown.
Mr. Rios, your time.
I go my 3 minutes, my God.
Thank you,
lady.
appreciate that. Okay, move along with public communication.
Good evening, Al Contreras. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Mine should be less than 1 minute. Is it possible that the city can purchase a clock so everyone knows when their 3 minutes and their time is up?
It's being looked into, Mr. Contreras.
It's normal housework. But anyways, that's what I would like to request so everyone can see their time is being monitored and everyone knows exactly where they stand. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, move on with public communication.
Greg Tuttle, business owner. I want to start out with, I see you got a big agenda tonight because you want to shove everything through here and hope nobody sees a lot of it. I'm going to mention the business improvement thing that you're going to stick on the businesses and take the money that you and Pacheco have found out how to secretly get this money that we were using for the street fair that was for the businesses and not against them. So what they're going to do, since Baldwin Park is in deficit, we do have a deficit, because the city isn't spending their money right, and they gave themselves a $40,000 raise. But they want the businesses, this is going to benefit the businesses of the city. $46,000 for Baldwin Park now. Farmers Market, $15,000, which Farmers Market is supposed to make us money, not lose it, if I remember when the guy was in here. Concerts in the park, $24,000. 4th of July, $36,000. Parades, $23,000. Economic analysis with Pacheco's buddies that are doing consultings, $62,000. Hero banners, $8,000. That's going to benefit the businesses really good. Let's go into Vasquez Company. Since you people weren't in the audit committees and involved in it like Baca, Rubio, and I was, we found out that Vasquez had over 35 sightings from Brown and Armstrong of not doing the bookkeeping properly. We didn't even have a capital assessment on what we owned in the city. I don't even know how you did your taxes because you didn't know how many cars you had. You didn't know any equipment of what you owned in this city. And Vasquez, you're bringing them back in on a 4-year plan? That's wrong. These people were bad. The only reason you want them back is to cook your books like you did during the police thing, saying that you were broke again. Now let's go into your buddy Sid Masavi. He was left here, this city, under sexual harassment charges. I hope you stick up for the women when he does it again here. Also, with Sid Masavi, we had another problem with him. He brings in a person that takes bribes from the people, the residents, for the building permits. And I think you can ask Miss Vargas over there because she brought it up to one of the budget committee meetings. And then the chief and everybody started looking into this. You hide all this stuff that Sid brings into these dirty people. This guy was all over the internet. He should have never been brought in this city to begin with. Does anybody check? No, because everybody's afraid because Pacheco and you are going to fire him. Now then we go into the vector control. You got less than 3% of this city. Sid Masavi charges $15,000 to do this BS meetings, 3 meetings in 1 week. You didn't give anybody any advance notice. It was 3 meetings in 1 week. I went to one of the meetings. You claim that 475 cards were sent in. I want to know here, you say 347 supported it, 128 didn't. I sent in over 100 cards and no support. We had other people send in cards of over 50 to 60 cards each. Somebody's lying, and it's not us. So we know what cards were sent in there. And if you want to dispute it, we can, and we can go to court on this. Because this is fraud.
3 minutes are up.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
But thank you very much. That's fine. All right, moving along with public communication. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Margarita Vargas. I didn't know we were in the red, but I just wanted to ask if it's possible to have a code enforcement person during the weekends, because this one it is needed the most. Last week when it was the yard sale, a lot of people start Friday and then Sunday. I know it's supposed to be just 2 days. But the other thing is they sell new things. And I know that's not supposed to. It's not a business. So, but we don't have who to call or who to go in there and check, what they're doing. So I just was wondering if it's possible to have a part-time just for, at least when we have the yard sales, so they can, enforce that rule. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, move along with public communication. Okay, seeing no further interest, I now declare the public communication closed. Councilman, yes, go ahead.
No, I had a question
yes.
in regards to what Margarita Vargas said.
Yes.
Is that okay at this time for me to ask
Sure,
you the question? Could we check into the ordinance and make sure that new things aren't to be sold or whatever? I know that a lot of people, including churches, use this as an opportunity for them to make some extra income. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to check into it. If this is looking like a swap meet on a weekend in particular, then we need to sort of control as to what goes out there and for how long and who's doing it.
Right. All right, we could follow up. Absolutely, definitely.
Thank you.
So very valid. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go into consent calendar. Are we adding an item? And want to just also, right in front of me, want to add this other one. We need to vote on this agenda, which is the summary directions to change streetlights rates to LS1 option E for installation of LED streetlights in Ballpark, Southern California Edison SE service. So that's my motion to place this on the agenda.
I'll second.
Second. Any objections? See none, so move. So we're going to place on consent calendar?
When do I say?
That would be correct.
So we're going to place this on consent calendar.
And I'm sorry, could I just make a comment about that?
Sure.
I'm really happy to see this. So many people in the last couple of years have said, what happened to our streetlights? It is so dim here. They have actually asked me to come out there in the evening, especially in the wintertime when it gets dark early.
Agree.
And it is really dark. Mm-hmm. I know that in my street, I think I only have one light on the side on Alderson that really lights up much of anything. So I'm really happy to see this.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. All right, yes, yes.
And the rest are looking into clock or size of clock.
And I just need to apologize to Mr. Contreras for jumping in the middle of your time.
Excuse me, could I make a suggestion? Because and I don't want to tell anybody, but it's just because I've attended like the supervisors meetings and so forth. They actually put it like on a screen right there, on the screens, so that when you're talking, you see your time and you know when your time is coming up to an end. I'm sure it's done by computer. So is that something we could sort of look into as well? Like a time clock or something that's done through the computer? Thanks, because I'm very nearsighted, and so if I were to stand there and look at something here, unless it's this gigantic, I probably wouldn't see it. But if I see it on the screen, I see it perfectly.
If I may suggest, if you just look at the West Covina, that there's these clocks that are made particularly for city council meetings. They're digital and they count backwards. In the city council meeting at West Covina, it's right in front. It's just counting down for people. You might want to ask their city clerk where they got that.
Mayor, if I just want to go back to the your request for the Edison LED lighting program, I want to just let you know that staff worked very hard with the Edison company to bring this program about. We're actually the first city that's switching to this new LED rate, which will allow us to change all of our lights within the city. It will also not only reduce energy consumption and cost, savings of about $14,000 per year, but it also reduces greenhouse gases for better environment, brighter lights, as council said, and also reduce crime and safer neighborhoods. So this is something that I want to thank the city manager, and who's a former public works director, and you know a lot about the engineering side of a lot of the programs that Edison has. And I'm glad to see that you were able to work this out and negotiate. I know it took a while in coming, and I know you were working with a lot of the Edison reps, but I think it's good to see that we're finally going to upgrade our lighting, and hopefully they'll be able to change more of the lighting as we go forth with this program. Says, well, thanks a lot, Shannon. Good job.
All right, thank you. At this point, we're on the consent calendar, but before we go in there, I just want to add what we just voted in. I just want to make sure that the correction that was provided, which reads, the adoption of this agreement will cost the general fund $10,236 for the fiscal year 2016-2017. The annual fee for the succeeding year will be adjusted based on the California Consumer Price Index, and that is the notice of correction to staff report request for reading into the record. All righty. So, and that's from Rose Tran. All right, so at this point, we have consent calendars items 1 through 18, well, 1 through 19 with the one I just read off as well. So council members wishing to pull any items out?
Yeah, give me a minute. I'm looking for something, Mayor. Hold on.
Okay, that's fine. Yes. Here it is right here.
This is the one that you just added right now, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Can you help me out in terms of item 22, staff report? What does this coincide with?
Was item 22 you said?
Yes, it says item number 22. It's a staff report.
22 is a separate item, and that will be a public hearing, and we'll give
And
you
it's
a
coming out
presentation
a little later, right? Because
on that
it has
after
a question.
consent.
Okay. It has a question in regards to this item that we just voted on, but I'll wait till then. Thank you.
All right.
I'd like to pull item number 6 for discussion, please.
Okay, item 6 by Councilmember Cruz Baca. Any other council members wishing to pull in the items? Okay, if not, I will go.
I'm sorry, number 16, please.
Number 16. All right, number 16. All righty. If not, at this point, I'll make a motion to move items 1 through 20, with the exception of item number 6 and number 16. That's
Second.
my motion. Second, any objections? See none, so move. All right, so we'll go to item number under 6, which is a consideration of annexation of the city of Baldwin Park to the San Gabriel Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District. Councilmember?
I pulled 6.
Oh.
Yes, I have a question about that because you know that the Zika mosquito virus and the other, I forget the name of it, have been a big deal. The mosquitoes here in Baldwin Park are a real problem. And believe me, I can show you my arms. But I did see, I believe that on the news there was a report that said that some of the counties are getting government assistance and it's at no cost to the residents.
Wow.
And what they do, they not only what concerned me about the gentleman that came to give us the presentation with the vector control, it wasn't that we really need it, because we need assistance. But it seemed like they weren't really reaching out to the residents, or even when I asked the questions, to really come out and spray or do something about it. This particular program that is government funded, they will come out, and I saw them. I'm sorry, I don't remember what city or what county it was, but they do come out sort of like in hazmat outfits, and they do spray your backyard. They claim it's not toxic, but the outcome of no mosquitoes in your backyard or in any of your front yards or your pool areas or the parks or whatever it is really, really helpful. So I would like, if at all possible, unless we have a deadline on this, for us to see if we could sort of look into that and see if there is a government program instead of, I know it's very minimal, but nevertheless something that could help our residents, so especially our seniors that call and say, you know, I can't walk out of my backyard, and say, you know, if we set you up with an appointment, we can send someone over on such and such a date to take care of it. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, could we look at something like that? I mean, we'd probably have to get. Where did you see it, you said?
It was on the news. I'm sure that if we Google it, I'm sorry I did not have the time to do it, but it was a county grant that's given to a lot of the cities because this is a very serious problem.
Can we look into that, CEO? So at this point, do you want to hold off on this? You want to pull that out?
Could we please?
I'll
Yes,
go ahead.
thank you. Thank you so much.
You make that a motion, I'll second.
I'll make a
Mayor,
motion.
and can I just add,
Yes.
because, and I had concerns last time as well, because it doesn't seem like our residents are getting the information. One of the biggest issues with, you know, the mosquitoes is that open water containers, and I still see them all over the city. And I discussed last time that if we don't want that problem, then we have to at some point reach out to our constituency and let them know that the water is an issue. Unfortunately, we have two things going on. We have the drought going on, and so people are, doing as they're asked. They're recycling the water and they're keeping them in these bins, but at the same time, that's what's attracting the mosquito. That's the number one reason. But they don't know that. And so at some point, we have to do something to educate the community. And I remember we discussed putting it on the Now and having outreach, and I still don't see it. So I also have concern approving this when we're not doing anything to mitigate some of those issues. So with that, I would also.
All right, so no objection.
Hold it.
Yes,
Thank you.
Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco.
Well, I would say hold it up with 2 meetings because it takes 9 months to go through the process for annexation. And also, I think there are a lot of residents that are concerned about the mosquitoes that are out there, and we need to work with with this agency to be able to resolve some of those issues. So 2 meetings, we'll bring it back. If staff could look for more information, I'm sure what Councilwoman Baca requested. Let's see what else is out there. Unless staff knows offhand what programs are. If not, that's fine.
All right,
bring it back in 2 meetings and just provide us with more information. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, there was a motion. It was seconded. No objections. All right, so we'll move forward with that recommendation. At this point, we'll go to item number 16, requested by Councilmember Susan Rubio. And that reads, item 16 is the approve and authorization and funding classification for award of bid of the city project number 2016-0123, traffic signal installation at Los Angeles Street and Hornbrook Avenue. Long needed. Yes, Councilmember.
Yeah, okay, my concern is not the, getting it done, because of course we need it, but I remember pulling this item a while back, I would say several months back, and Dan Wall is not here, so is there anybody that can answer the questions that I have in regards to this particular item?
Let's have him come up to the Mr. Is it Gutierrez?
Yes, myself or Sam Gutierrez, and this is also involves some of the finances. So if you
what really I am concerned with, I remember, if I remember correctly, I had pulled it several months back, and it was about the language, and it was again reclassification of funding for this item. And I remember having this discussion. We are paying this and reclassifying it. How do we make sure it doesn't come back again? And we're paying for it twice, and I'm seeing it again here. So I am concerned that this is something that we've already paid for. And can someone explain to me why we're reclassifying the funding once again?
Yeah, I think I can explain. We're not really paying for it again. We're just changing the funding that it comes out of. Sometimes we find that one fund might have a little bit of an overage as compared to another fund, and it's so basically paying out of one account as opposed to another, and you're changing the appropriations. So the amounts that we're paying is not changing, just where it's coming from, and these are both restricted funds, Measure R and gas tax.
Okay.
I don't know if Sam
I want to add that
Go ahead.
It's the same 2 funds from the previous report, except now we're getting more out of one fund and less out of another. So it's just a reclassification.
Okay, and that was my concern last time, that, we're reclassifying. I said, how do we keep track? Because we keep pulling from one fund and then another. So, I mean, as long as you're sure that we haven't taken care of this before, then I'm going to take your word for it. But that was my same concern last time, that we keep calling it reclassification. So I always worry that somehow we may pay for something twice. Well, thank you. Thank you for answering my questions.
All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and motion to pass item 16. Any objections? So I'll move. All right, so we'll go over to the... We'll go over to the City Council acting successor agency of the Community Development Commission. So we have consent calendar of successor agency. Let me have it. Yeah, all righty. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and we have a public hearing on it. Okay, all right. Let me go ahead and open up the public hearing for the successor agency. Anyone wishing to speak on behalf of the successor agency? At this point, I'll open up all those in favor for the budget. Any opposed? Seeing no interest, and I'll declare the successor agency closed. So at this point, I'll go ahead and make a motion, approve an agreement with the the successor agency. That is my motion. Any objections? Seeing none, so move. All right, at this point, we'll go over to the... Okay. Alrighty. That's yes. All right. So at this point, I'll open up the public hearing for the successor agency regarding the conducted public hearing for fiscal year 2016-2017 budget. So I'll open up anyone wishing to speak in favor. Okay, in favor of the successor agency budget? Anyone wishing to speak opposing? See no interest, and I'll declare the public hearing closed. Right. Yes.
Mayor,
yes.
I have a question on item 23.
Go ahead, that's fine.
I thought that that the fireworks was like a one-time deal. I didn't think that we were going to be moving it over every year and using the business improvement tax for it. I thought that we were going to try to work on grants, and I had even offered, but I never heard about it, so I wasn't able to really come forward and say, will you please approach these companies because they would like to fund the fireworks show. So are we going to be pulling monies from the business improvement tax every year from now on for the fireworks show, or are we going to, because the balance on that business improvement tax is going down to like $50,000 according to staff report.
Then what we could do for next year is look at the potential grants available for that particular funding.
Mayor,
yes,
are you done, Councilmember Cruz?
Yes, I'm sorry. I should have said I was done.
And that's something that, of course, some of the residents remember. I also opposed because I have the same concerns. If it's a business improvement tax, then that money should be specifically designated to improve the businesses, whether it be downtown. And I agree. Last year it was very specific, and we had a really heated, discussion about why we're using that kind of funding for entertainment. And as Councilmember Cruz Baca expressed, we only have $50,000, and I believe we started with a couple of $100,000. And if we keep paying for entertainment, how do we help the businesses? And they pay out of this funding as well. So I also like to see that taken off the table. And of course, we support the fireworks stand, but I think we could find funding elsewhere, whether it be reaching out to the businesses. If I believe, last year also the businesses also offered some money to fund that event, and as well advertising, see what else we can get. We also talked about having our own local talent. As we saw earlier, we have those two young individuals who are very, very talented, and we talk about maybe using some of our students at the high school for entertainment rather than paying such expensive bands. And so I also like to see if we can put it off a little more and see if we can get funding elsewhere other than taking it from the business improvement tax. Thank you, Mayor.
And
thank you. Yes.
There's one more.
Sure.
The economic and downtown services, which total $62,000. And, that is for consulting fees. And I understand that we've had several consultants that have come forward to help us with the downtown plan. However, really and truly, I haven't seen any real reports from any. We did see one from AIM a while back, but nothing has really come to fruition. And I feel that a lot of this was done and is just left by the wayside for some reason. And I would really like to see some at least monthly reports, or at least every 2 or 3 months reports, because I've never seen a report from Del Sol. I've never seen, California Consulting does somewhat, but yet we have no grants from them. And we also have Cosmont. Mm-hmm. No report at all, just hypothetical grants or whatever that they write every so often. So this $62,000, though it may not seem like a lot of money, but it does add up, and it is coming from our businesses. I would like to be able to tell them or to show, look, this is what you're getting for your money. And this concerns me. Some of these figures concern me. The hero banners, I understand we need to recognize our military. I am a firm believer of that. But this economic and downtown services and the 4th of July, though I love 4th of July, of course, I'm very patriotic, and I think it's a wonderful thing for our residents. But I think that we need to look for other funding in order to be able to, and to also to justify why we're spending that money.
Alrighty. Okay, well stated, and we'll go ahead and look at CEO. We can look at potential grants for.
Yeah, I think we've skipped ahead a little bit. I
Yes,
think
I
we're
did notice that.
should be opening the public hearing number 21, which is
let me go ahead and open up. Yeah, we did, but that's fine because we took care of that. It was 23, the one that we're talking about. So let me open up the and speak on this. The city budget the successor agency, the Finance Authority, and the Housing Authority concurrent. So anyone wishing to speak on those particular, which includes the budget as well, you're welcome to do so. So at this point, I'll open up for anyone wishing to speak in favor.
So, Mayor, just for clarification, are you opening up the public hearing on all four of those budgets?
Yes, that is correct. The city budget, the successor agency, the Finance Authority, and the Housing Authority, since they're all concurrent. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Greg Tuttle, business owner. I didn't understand the successor agency. I thought this thing was to do with the redevelopment deal back with the state and all that stuff. So I want to speak on two things. On the budget, I know Rose Tam tried to do a very good job on there, but I think that our budget, we do have a deficit, and I think you're jiggling the funds around to take care of that, and I don't think it should be on the backs of the businesses. And I think on the board, when you make up a board to do these businesses expenditures, you should have some business owners on the board, not just your own people that you tell what to do. These should be business owners that are putting their money out there and people that own businesses in this city. So that's not representative of the businesses here. So if you're going to make a board that's for businesses, they need to be on there. Some owners need to be on there, whoever it is. The thing with the budget, I was really confused, and maybe Rose can clarify it. We had a community development fund, $7.2 million. And we were going to draw $494,000 out of money out of that for federal asset forfeiture for the police department. I would like to know if that's federal funding, state funding, where it came from to begin with, and why we're pulling it down and why we're shoving it into federal asset forfeiture. So I'd like to have that answered. It was very confusing when I was reading the things. Other than that, I saw most everybody's trying to budget down, but I think that there's a lot of figures there that are conflicting. And I think there's some issues there that I'll be bringing up in the future. I don't have the facts right in front of me right this minute. But I think that we need to really look this budget over before we approve it, because I think you guys are jiggling the funds and putting funds in different areas. So, but I would like an explanation on the community thing of 7.2 and why we're giving the police department that. And I also put a request in to find out why we spent $1.2 million in asset forfeiture money and where it all went to, because it just disappeared in a year and a half. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, Rosa, we could follow up on that. We'll report at a later time too.
Hello, everybody. I'm pretty sure you people are reading off last meeting, right? Or you guys just making this up? Young lady over here made this statement and this. That's all we got today. This is public information what you people are putting out. Excuse me. You're not doing a very good job. If you people have last minutes from the last meeting, from the agenda, how come we don't have it? No answers. Don't answer the guy, because then we'll get in trouble. Gee, many crickets. So, are we behind in money, or we don't collect enough money? This is why I keep telling you, and you need to listen. Corporations come in, tax them, so we can get the money. You people know very well, I'm going to tell you again, Montebello project, it's eating us to death. And you people are up there looking at me saying, he don't know what he's talking about. Well, let me tell you, when she gets done this year with this proposed up here, you people better show that you're in debt big. Number one, you probably gave the land away. Number two, you probably get no tax money from them. And that's where you do wrong. Okay, they give you $1 million. They're going to make money, and what we're going to do, we're going to end up in debt. Why can't you guys understand that, you ladies and persons up here? The one person that did good for all of us, he's no longer here. So you people have to understand that when we ask you questions, you need to answer them. Don't just look at it and forget it and go on. This proposal that we have here, does it show, are we in debt or we're in the red? You people understand English, so do I. If we're in debt, tell us. Ain't nothing we can do because you're going to do whatever you want anyway. And that's why these residents of Baldwin Park got to get out and start listening to what not only I say, but other people say. Because sometimes I wonder if you people work for you as an individual or all of us citizens of Baldwin Park. I think you people need to understand that. This city belongs to 70-some thousand people, not to 5 people. 1 lawyer, 1 CEO, Park Commission, Chief of Police, and Finance. You people work for all of us. Remember that. Because someday you may get ousted, and maybe that other person that's coming in would work for the city of residents. You people are city residents, the ones that are. You're going to pay for the rest of your life, unless you move to another city, you're going to pay these outrageous millions of dollars that you leave us in debt. Think about it. The mayor, the reason they want to keep that organization for the taxes, property taxes, because you're thinking of raising our taxes. Because that's what all, my 3 minutes are probably gone, but it's okay.
Yes, Mr. Luna.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Move along. Anyone else wish to speak? Public hearing? If no further interest, I now declare the public communication closed. So at this moment, I have our CEO explain the comments that Mr. Tuttle and had as well. Thank you.
Yes, I have a brief presentation, and you did see it at the study session. If you'd like, I can go over it quickly, and then we can answer some of the questions.
Do we need to? Yeah. So all right. So at this point,
I can address the questions then, if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do that. So
some of them would be best shown in the presentation. But as far as the question on the development fund, I did. Rose came up here and verified with me. There's not been any mixing of development funds with asset forfeiture. Those funds have nothing to do with each other. They're being totally budgeted separately.
Do we make sure they get a copy of that? All right. Yes. I think your mic's off. Your mic. Okay, how about if we move her?
Mayor,
let's move her to next. Let's move to the next one, the next seat.
Hi. As you may see on the budget presentation here, page I-1, we only have projection for the asset forfeiture for revenue. And under the expenditure column, they all zero. We did not budget any expenditure for the asset forfeiture money. So we did not move any future development fund and use for the asset forfeiture. For this fiscal budget year, we did not budget any expenditure for the asset forfeiture. I hope I answered the question. It's also,
so you're saying that
also on the website. It's posted on the website, the budget.
All right, go ahead, Councilman Ricardo, and then we'll go to Cruz.
So you're saying that under federal asset forfeiture, it's 153,000. Is that the line?
As revenue.
As revenue.
We projected we will receive $150,000 from
for this fiscal year.
From the federal for fiscal 16-17.
And then there's no expenditures. That money's not going to be used.
Yes.
So carry over as an excess. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think the chief can verify that normally we don't budget for asset forfeiture for the expenditure side.
So when we do spend the funding, we'll come back to you and get your approval at that time. For example, when we purchased the command post, we brought a staff report forward and you approved the expenditure of those funds at that time.
Okay. Mayor, I just have a concern on just procedural. I believe that it is best that you give the presentation, then you open it up for public comments, because you can't open it up for public comments if they haven't seen the presentation. So I think we're going out of order.
I agree. That's what I was going to say, that we needed an explanation before maybe some of the answers would Questions would be answered at that time.
Which make, yeah, you're right. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay.
You're correct.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council, and the audience. I'll try to keep this brief. It was presented at the study session a couple weeks ago. This is our budget presentation for the 16-17 fiscal year. Our theme this year is protecting the general fund reserve and also trying to conserve that reserve because it was projected last year. It was projected to drop by $1.8 million. We're also looking at other revenue sources and ways to increase revenues. Although we did increase the general fund $2 million over the last year or two, we don't want to deplete it and we want to keep it healthy. We do know that we have rising retirement costs and other personnel costs that we need to watch out for. We also do know that there are some revenues on the horizon. January 2017, the hotel tax goes away, which will start bringing in approximately $500,000 a year into the city. And then in July of 2017, a pension obligation bond gets paid off, and that will free up anywhere from $1.1 to $1.4 million for the city each fiscal year thereafter. This is a summary of the general fund revenues, and we do concentrate on the general fund tonight. These are the revenues that are projected to come in for the 16 year, and we're comparing them to the last year. Almost all of the revenues are up, except for property taxes, and we're not quite sure. They've dropped off a little bit. However, there's a property tax in lieu of vehicle license fees that's gone up about the same amount. So for property taxes, it's about a wash. For the entire budget, our revenues for the general fund have increased about $588,000 for the next year. This next is a pie chart basically showing us a breakdown of where our revenues come from. And if you see, 86% of our revenues come from taxes. And due to Prop 218, it makes it difficult for the city to raise any new revenues because, for the most part, these taxes are capped by Proposition 218. Yes?
Could we go back to...
Yes.
I'm sorry. And the property tax, why are we in a deficit? Is that a deficit, those parentheses? Because I know in accounting it could also mean something else. Is that a deficit of $270,000?
It's not a deficit. What it's showing is our projection for this year is less than our projection for last year by $270,000. Now that could change because, again, these are just projections, and if there's a lot of sales of higher-end homes at the higher prices, then this could definitely go up.
I have some concerns as well. I'm sorry. Is this the appropriate time, or should we wait until?
If you have a question on this slide, that would be great.
Well, I'm just wondering. I'm looking at the license and permits. If I'm looking at this correctly, there's a difference here. It dropped, I think, over 100,000. And I'm not, saying that we should be getting license fees. So I'm just wondering why the difference. Can someone explain to me why it dropped 100,000 from one year to the next? License and permits.
We are looking at the 15-16 year.
Yes.
About
130.
Projections?
Yeah. Again, this is the amended, so this should be actuals. We may have had a large projects pull permits in this year, and in this year we're anticipating other large projects, the LA Fitness and some of the others pulling permits, so we're projecting some increases. So these permits, and it's probably mostly permits that cause the fluctuation, not the licenses, and that can also depend on the building construction industry and when their permits are pulled for those big projects.
So you have actuals and actual projections.
Yes, these 2 years are actuals. This one is our projection.
Right.
Now I'm looking at the actuals, and it's still 130,000, I believe, difference. Is there an accounting of those license and permits where I can get a report?
We can get that. I don't have it tonight, but we can look at why that dropped, and probably it's because of some large projects that pulled their permits right at the end of the 14-15 year. Probably the Rome, for example, would be one of them.
Okay. I would like to see an itemized list of the permits. I'm sure someone should have it, correct?
Sure.
Also, I also see that the fines and penalties dropped over 400,000, I believe. Not that I advocate for penalties, not that I advocate for fines, of course, but I'm just wondering why 400,000? That seems excessive to me. I want to make sure that we know where those 400,000 are going. I know it fluctuates, but it's significant.
Yeah, I would think, and Rose or the chief might be able to comment that, but a lot of the drop-off on the fines and penalties, we only have one person working traffic right now. We've not been able to do truck traffic lanes or DUI checkpoints, and that could be a drop-off from some of those revenues.
Also is the red flags.
And
is that the red flags that we dropped?
We closed the contract with them. At the same time, reduce expenditure side also.
But if I understand correctly, we were actually at a deficit when we got rid of the red flags because we were not making any money. So at this point, we should have more money since we were not paying their contract.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Not the opposite.
And the red flags wasn't accounting to us. They weren't paying. We were just paying out. They weren't paying us.
However, in the accounting, we showing the revenue side first, then we show the expenditure side separately. At the same time, we've been saving money from the expenditure side.
Okay, let me just clarify this. Now, and I understand what you're saying, but from the actual from 14 to 15, I'm sorry, 14, 15 to 16, there's a $400,000 difference. And I thought we dropped red flags, which we were paying their contract. At the end, we decided we're not paying their contract because they were not giving us a reporting. So I would think that somehow we would have more money in that category because we're no longer paying that contract. And I see a 400,000 drop. So I'm still trying to figure out why the drop.
Yes, that's exactly reflect the red flags drop in revenue. However, when during the mid-year budget presentation, we show that the drop. At the same time, we saw drop on the expenditure side also.
So you're only looking at one side of the sheet right here. You're only looking at the money coming in. Mm-hmm. So in addition, the money that was going out to red flags in the expenditure side of the budget is decreased also.
Okay, and I understand that, but if you're just comparing, last year to this year, I just see that $400,000 gap extremely large, and I understand what you're saying, but I have to look into it because we're no longer paying the contract, and you're saying that we're no longer making the revenue for the red flags. I believe we dropped the red flags because we were not making any money, and that's the reason we canceled the contract. So there was no money to be made with the red flags.
Right.
So the revenue that you see here dropped would also be offset if we weren't making any money by the same decrease in expenditures in the other side of the budget, the expenditure side of the budget. Because right now we're only looking at the revenues. So both would have gone down. The revenues went down, and because we aren't bringing in the fines from the red light tickets, but then the expenditures also go down because we're not paying out the company $30,000 a month.
Okay, and I get what you're saying. So then we would drop almost at the same rate, 400,000. Okay, so I'm going to look into that. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I went over this. This is just a further breakdown of the previous pie chart. Again, is just a history of our revenue over the years that we're keeping track of to make sure it's moving in the right direction. That's sort of a sign of a good economy. Again, some of the other revenues, this bump is some of the one-time increases we got from waste management and the cell tower leases. And then a breakdown of the general funds according to department. And so you can see the departments, for the most part, have made all the cuts that they can to try to close the budget gap. The budget gap when we started was projected at $1.3, $1.4 million. The police department also made a lot of cuts, although most of their funding is personnel, so that's very difficult to do without cutting personnel, which we didn't want to do. Again, a breakdown of expenditures by department. And again, this is only general fund. It's a little bit misleading because Public Works and Parks and Recs and housing, community development. A lot of them use a lot of the special funds, but again, this is just a breakdown of how our general funds are spent. And then general fund expenditures broken down by category. And so you'll see capital expenses, contractual services, maintenance and operations, personnel costs, that's the big increase. Because we are a service organization, most of our costs are for personnel. Then,
excuse me, Shannon, could you please go back to the previous page so I can explain to Councilwoman Susan? As you may see, the contractual services was reduced to almost over $500,000.
So
that's
that would,
related to the red flags that we were just talking about a little while ago.
I would like to ask a request. I don't know if it's possible, but it's very difficult when I see on the actual revenues and you see them itemized as permits and fees, and right here we see it as a lump sum contracts.
Yes.
I want to see them itemized the same way. If you are going to do revenues in one format, then I want to see also the expenditure, so we can sort of see them line by line. I don't like. I guess I'm trying to, and I'm sorry if I'm coming across a little bit, inquisitive, but again, I'm looking at the fees as in the revenues, and I'm actually looking at the item line called fines and penalties or
yes.
business license. When we see also in the expenditures, I want the item to be named the same thing so we can see at what rate they're dropping and increasing. The way you're explaining it on the expenditures is just as the way you named it is contractual services.
Yes.
And that doesn't tell me what service, what contracts. So to me, that's a little confusing if you're not calling it the same thing. Can we figure out how to match the expenditures to the revenues where by item we know exactly the numbers?
I don't think you could match exactly because one is telling you where the money comes from and this sheet is telling you where you spend the money. So you might get money from fines that goes to offset contractual services, but you also might get money from fines that goes to offset personnel costs or maintenance and operations. So the money may come in from one source, but it can go out in other multiple sources. So it would be probably difficult to classify it that way. And I think this is pretty standard accounting.
But would it
Rose, can you answer that for me?
However, I can provide you a detailed information.
Yes.
Listed
Yes.
where all the revenues come from the fines and permits.
Yes.
Just like Shannon explained, and all those fines and revenue and permit and taxes, they were spending in all different categories. However, I can provide detailed information how this contractual total projection come from and how or where all the fines and permit come from.
That's exactly what I would like. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate it.
I can provide that detailed information.
Also,
Thank you.
Could you also do that with contractual services so that we see what are the contractual services exactly that add up to the
Yes.
for 14-15 it was 2,500,000, but that add up for the proposed budget of 1,879,000. If we could also get a detailed breakdown of that would be great.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then we talked about transfers out here at the bottom and just a breakdown of the transfers out of the general fund. The summer lunch program, that is our matching funds for the grant for that program. Park Maintenance District has a shortage, and then the lease on the community center. And again, just a pie chart showing a breakdown of those previous costs. We talked about the CalPERS increasing, so you'll see our current rate, the $4.3 million, and how each year it's projected to increase. And so that's something we're monitoring closely and looking at ways to keep that down and to be able to pay for that in the future. Okay, so sort of a summary of where we are in the good news. Our total revenues that we looked at total up to $26.9 million. Our total expenditures when we started this budget were $28.3 million. And as I said, we started out with a projected surplus of between $1.3 and $1.4 million. Rose and I and all of the department heads, I thank you for all your time, and the managers and the staff. We sat down, we went through this budget, we cut out items line item by line item, and we brought down actually even less of a deficit that we presented to you at the study session. At that time, we were looking at $114,000 deficit. We've reduced that now to under $60,000, which is pretty much a balanced budget. And we started out at a very high deficit, so we're very proud of this work that everybody's done and that everybody came together on. And again, the importance of that is that had we not been able to close that gap, we would have seen a budget reserve declining significantly to the $6.7 million. But with the budget we're proposing, we're able to maintain the general fund balance up above $8 million, because we know that's important, because as you saw, other personnel costs are constantly increasing, as well as PERS and retirement costs. So again, I want to thank all of the staff, the department heads that worked on this. There was a lot of time, and especially Rose and her staff, they put in a lot of overtime and weekends. And I want to thank the mayor, members of the city council for your support. And if you have any other questions, we're available this time.
Yes, Councilmember Cruz Baca.
I have one more question, and it has to do, on page I-2, it has to do with the low to mod income housing. And the proposed expenditures are $345,100. And again, could that also be broken down as to the housing? And why is it $345,100?
Yes, of course.
Do that as well. I don't want to take up a lot of time right now, but if you can give me the information, that'd be great.
A majority of that portion is based on the home program requirement. The city is required to have a matching fund for 50% of that. So we set aside about $130,000 for the home matching program. The rest are the personnel costs that for the staff who's going to work on the Loma housing project.
That's Section
8? No, this is the low moderate income housing set aside fund.
All right, anyone else wishing?
Are you going to, well, I'm sorry. I want to make a comment. So I noticed that you did drop the deficit, and we're at a 59,343 deficit at the end of this fiscal year, correct?
Yes.
And I still have a really big concern, because I don't think we need to be there. That's $59,000, and I believe Councilmember Cruz Baca mentioned it a little earlier today that we have several consultants on the payroll, and we haven't seen anything concrete yet. We haven't received anything from them. What comes to mind is one particular day when we offered 2 contracts in the same day to 2 grant writers that did the same exact thing. And I remember, at least personally, just expressing concern that we were hiring 2 people for the same thing at a rate, I think it was $126,000 that day that we gave out those contracts. And I believe it's been 3 to 4 months, and we haven't seen anything yet from them. And at this point, I'd like to put those contracts on the table so we can discuss if it's worth continuing the contracts when we haven't seen anything from them at $126,000 a year, and we're at a deficit of $59,000. Had we not offered those contracts, we wouldn't be in a deficit. So I'd like to discuss maybe putting those items back on the table to see if it's worth continuing the contracts with.
Mayor, what I'd like to ask is we can have these contractors come back and give us updates as where they're at. But I'd also like to add that that the city manager does send us a monthly, almost a weekly update on where all these contractors are at and which different departments they're at. So a lot of that information does come through, and there are updates. I know that some of these information that I got, they did do some reporting. And that was also provided to us if we wanted to ask for the report. I think it was sent to us. So there is monthly progress. There is information being shared through email to all council members. But more than anything, I think it's important that we can bring them back all here and do a monthly update or where they're at in terms of their work that they've done at this point. That's what I would suggest. Now, the deficit there is quite small. It's about 60,000. We also have to understand that because these are projected revenues and projected expenditures, that that's going to fluctuate. Either way. Revenues have been going up and probably continue to go up. So maybe in 6 months, when we do our mid-year finance, we could find that we don't have a deficit. Some positions may or may not get filled. So there's a lot of other factors that go into play that show that this small deficit could just basically be erased. But I think staff worked very hard, and I know that this is one of their several presentations that they've given us and shown us a lot of the hard work they've done to be able to bring the deficit within control. Now, we're also looking at, in the future, a number of revenues, as staff has explained, that is going to come in, and some of our costs for bonds and some of our bed tax that is going to come in the future will literally wipe out a lot of this deficit and bring us back into a very positive revenue. So, we also need to look at that, and I don't know, maybe Shannon, if you could provide a sort of a future, sort of what the revenue is in the future based on some of the upcoming revenue increases that we will get. And I know that was on a slide someplace, but maybe we need to bring it back, show it to council members, and show the future revenues that we are getting that will really put us in the positive. Right now, I know we're going through a dip, but it will show us that. So we could see, I'm sorry, but I am speaking and I'm hearing someone talk also. Okay, I'm sorry?
Okay, excuse me. Mr. Woods, please, sir. Appreciate that. Excuse me.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so anyway, so I just want to make sure that we see the whole, that the city sees the whole picture, not just sort of what we're seeing here. We also have other revenues that a lot of you have been exposed to. All the council members have seen a lot of the positive revenues that we'll be getting into the future. I think our council was alerted that during this period we were going to there was going to be a dip in the revenue, and then we were going to come back in the positive. So that's what we need to look at.
Yeah, let me just say also something about the budget. For one, I know that I think you mentioned 2017. I thought it was 2018 where the actual bond is fully paid, that 1.3 million, whatever it is. So what I want to make sure that we do with that is that is allocated over, and I've said it over and over, and again, who knows what will transpire on that. But to allocate that to the underfunded liabilities, which is a law enforcement retirement, because that's very important in that we don't want to take advantage and simply say, well, let's allocate those 1 million, whatever the amount is. I know it's over $1 million, and simply use it for something else. We need to discipline ourselves and place it directly on the retirement for the police officers. Second, that's going to be beneficial for us, and also the ending of the actual the tax of the hotel, which, as you mentioned, is about $500,000. So that's major money that hopefully will utilize for somewhere positive for the city. So in a way, when you look at where we're at right now, what's been accomplished since the recession in 2008 compared to other cities, this city never laid off one single solitary individual, did not reduce our law enforcement agency, did a multitude of things, and we tightened up our belt. And yes, we're here right now, and we're in the positive, which I think is good. And of course, I don't know any city that's fully free of any type of debt. You look at West Covina, look at Covina, look at El Monte. I mean, they're all having problems. And again, I'm not saying that we're completely out of the woods, but at least we could at least acknowledge each and every one of you for the hard work that you guys have done. But we definitely need to look at the is it 218? I thought it was 18.
18.
Is it 218?
2018.
2018.
2018 for about $1.8 million.
Oh, it's $1.8 million. So we need to definitely look at that and make sure that meant it's going to be up to us, as we're all here, or whatever the case may be, that doesn't get sidetracked, because eventually that will come back and haunt the city, because other cities are dealing with that specific area, because there's underfunded liabilities that are literally I think it's $2 to $3 billion when you look at the state of California, all 58 counties. So it's a major deficit, and we have to be smart about that. So just want to share that for the actual budget itself.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember.
I just want to say, and I want to reiterate, not because I want to beat this to death, but
That's fine.
I myself have not gotten an email or any update on Del Sol. I have not gotten an update on Cosmont. I do get periodic, and I'm sure all of you do as well, from California Consulting, which is probably every other week or once a month. However, my question is, and I agree with Councilmember Rubio, we have seen nothing come to fruition from all of this, and all we've done is spend money in the last 4 months at the tune of probably by the end of June 30, we'll have spent about $100 and some thousand on these consultants. And I would like to see something, either freeze their contracts for now and see what they can do in the near future and see if this is working out. Because, you know, California Consulting, even though they're being very communicative with us, they didn't do anything for the police department, and they paid them for about 4 or 5 months. And so I don't want to be in the same position where, you know, I look at it this way. This money is not our money. It's our residents and business owners as a whole, and all of us that live in Baldwin Park. So I want to be very frugal with how I spend people's money. So I would really like to see if we could put a freeze on these 4 contracts and see what we can do in the next couple of months and see what they've done and how much revenue they're bringing in. I do understand that they're bringing in retail by the LA Fitness. That's the plan, to come in with a Chipotle and a Waba Grill and a Coffee Bean or whatever. And I think that's great. And I do see that happening there, which would bring us revenue, especially if it's a coffee house. But as far as the other contracts, I really do believe that we're just spending money for now. And we need to really take a good look at that.
Mayor, if I can just finish my thought, and I apologize if I wasn't clear. You know, of course, I do recognize the hard work that it takes for, you know, our staff to do that. Remember, I shared with you I was an accountant once, so I understand it's a little bit, you know, difficult to go through the process. And thank you for what you do and all of the staffs. But what I'm questioning, not the work ethic of our staff or how well we've done it as a city. I mean, all that I agree 100% with Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco as well as with you, Mayor. But I think in a way it's deflecting the issue. The issue I've expressed is not about, you know, how we're doing. I understand we're doing well, and it's not about how hard our staff works, because I understand that you work hard. But it's more about these particular contracts. Just because we're doing well doesn't mean that we can have the luxury of spending money like that, because eventually, you know, there'll be other things that we need in the city. So for me, as well as we're doing, and as, you know, Councilmember Pacheco expressed, we will continue to do well, but it doesn't mean that we should just spend money because we have it. I agree with Councilmember Cruz Baca. Those contracts, you know, over 100,000, again, don't need to be given if they're not producing. And I think that we've given them several months, and I've only seen California Consultant. I haven't seen a report from Del Sol. And they're supposed to be bringing in funding, so we don't have to use our funds for police issues or entertainment issues or the park issue. And I haven't seen anything either. So I'd like once again, request that we put those contracts on the table to see if we can relook at them and maybe sit down with them and see if they can reduce the cost at the very least, because we're still spending a lot of money on something that we're not using in essence. So thank you, Mayor. I just want to clarify that I do thank the staff. It's not about the work quality or your work ethic. Of course, everyone works hard. This is in particular about the contracts. They're not producing anything, yet we're spending over $100,000 per year. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you. At this point,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and move for the approval. I'm going to do them all concurrently. The successor agent 2016-007.
Second.
But no, it was already closed. The public. All right. So at this point, the successor agency 2016-007. There's a motion with second by Councilman Ricardo Pacheco. Any objections? See none, so moved.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Is this? Do we have? And I know that we want a budget to be on time. I get that. But can we make a motion to bring those contracts to the table and see if we can renegotiate those?
You probably could do it because they're not on the agenda anyways. you're discussing, so you could agendize that. That's fine. All
Okay,
right,
thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. All right, so at this point, I'll move for the city budget 2016-132. That's my motion to pass.
Second.
Second, any objections? See none, so move. Also, the finance.
Mayor,
authority-
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure that did we close the public hearing? I want to make sure we're
Yes, I did. Yes,
You
I
did?
did. Yes.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, the Finance Authority, 2016-005, that is my motion.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. Also, the Housing Authority, budget 2016-008, that is my motion.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. All righty. Thank you. So at this
Mayor?
point, we are. Yeah, item 20, oh, no, item 22 actually was discussed, no. The conduct a public hearing and consider resolution number 2016-128, awarding the energy service construction contract for energy efficiency improvement. Who's handling this?
I can give a brief staff report, and the consultant is also here. This is an item that the council saw a few months ago and gave staff direction on these items. This project will install energy-efficient lighting throughout city facilities. This does not include the streetlights because the streetlights are owned by Southern California Edison. That's why we had the separate item on here tonight. Installing energy management control systems, energy-efficient transformer upgrades, upgrades to the community pool, heating and air conditioning equipment, the new energy-efficient equipment at the gymnasium, and also solar voltaic energy generation at the community center, Barnes Park, and at the Public Works yard. The total cost for the project, including the new gymnasium air conditioning, is $3.441 million. The consultant worked with us to obtain a low-interest loan from the State California Energy Commission at 1%, and the loan will be paid off by the energy savings that will be achieved by the improvements. In fact, in many cases and in many years, the energy efficiency savings will exceed the cost of the loan. And the loan amount is $2.988 million, and the additional amount will be made up from an internal city loan to be repaid in future with Quimby funds as they become available. And with that, the consultant, as I said, is here if you have any other technical questions. If you approve this tonight, the contract would be approved, the loan is set in place, and the final work would be started and completed.
Okay,
I have
yes,
a
go ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Yes, and I have a question. Maybe the consultant or.
Want to bring him up? Where's the consultant? Let's bring him up here. Introduce yourself at the lectern. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Mayor,
evening.
council members, city manager, and city staff. My name is Michael Chapin with Con Energy. I'm joined here with Chris Fisher from Con Edison Solutions. We're happy to answer any questions you might have on this
Yeah,
item.
Councilmember Cruz Baca.
Yes, I'm sorry, and I apologize. This is one item that I didn't read through it, so if I'm being redundant, I apologize. But I wanted to know, many times when you put in either solar panels or energy saving, there is some repairs or maintenance that comes with it. Will this contract include the maintenance or the upgrades to that?
The contract as it stands does not cover the ongoing maintenance, but the overall contract actually reduces the city's O&M going forward. For example, your existing lighting that you typically replace on an annual basis will be replaced with LED lighting that comes with a 10-year warranty and also includes a labor warranty as part of that overall performance warranty for the lighting. So that will reduce the city's O&M expenditure. The same goes for the high-efficiency transformers and so forth. The solar piece of it is the piece where there would actually be is the only ECM where there would be an additional cost for O&M, but the amount that you're saving from the lighting and the other ECMs will offset that additional cost for the solar.
Let me ask you, because I'm not familiar with this, but how long do you anticipate that, let's just say one of the light bulbs or whatever lasts? Is it something that has to be replaced in 5 years from now or 10, and what is the cost?
All the LED lights that we're providing with this project come with a 10-year warranty, parts and labor. And this warranty covers the first 10 years of usage, but the actual burn hour rating of these lights verified by a third party is 100,000 burn hours. These lights will probably burn less than 5,000 hours per year. So even after that 10-year warranty expires, at that point the city would be at risk of having to replace those lights should they fail. Based on their useful life, we'd expect them to last a long time going forward beyond that 10 years.
What happens if those lights in particular in 10 years from now have to be replaced with something that technology or whatever is in the future?
Well, LED lights have gone through a few iterations of technological upgrades in, let's say, the last 5 years. Right now, where that technology is, it's very efficient. We can't predict the future, whether or not there'll be another technology in 10 years, but the option of, let's say, keeping it as is with the existing HID lights would cost more than double the energy costs for the next 10 years as these lights that we're projecting, so it would still work out to be in the city's benefit.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right. Anyone else have any questions?
I do.
Right.
And I know that this requires for us to have an internal city loan. Shannon, are you handling the loans or do you get to handle the loans? I'm just curious who's...
No, that internal loan would be handled by our finance department.
I have a question, I'm sorry, for Rose, I guess. Was this particular loan worked into the budget for this fiscal year?
As soon as the project starts, and I recommend it to the CEO and Public Work when they were going through this, when they were planning this project. I mentioned instead of borrow money from the outside firms, we should borrow the money from our internal fund, which from the Future Development Fund. So we will save money in interest expense.
And if I could answer the other part of your question, no, because it's not approved, we didn't figure these into the current budget. But if you approve this tonight, it will only bring good news because, for example, the first-year loan payment is $165,000, and the estimated savings to the city in energy costs and operations is estimated to be $230,000. So it could almost virtually close the budget deficit that we were talking about earlier, and we would bring that back to you in the mid-year budget review.
Now, did you take into consideration what Rose just said, that to take the funding internally so that we wouldn't be paying the interest?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty. Okay. Any other questions? All right. If not, at this point, thank you very much, gentlemen. At this point, we'll open up the public hearing. So, anyone wishing to speak in favor, this is the time to do so. Anyone opposing? See no interest. I now declare the public hearing closed. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and move for approval of the resolution number 2016-128, entitled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Baldwin Park authorizing the city CEO or designate exec." So that is my motion.
Second.
Any objections? See none.
Mayor, before we go further, I just have one quick question,
Yes,
and I
go ahead.
apologize to interrupt you. And I know that we have to upgrade a lot, and I guess I have the same concern that Cruz Baca had in terms of, do we get, not necessarily from them, but from our in-house, a list of all the things that are going to be replaced and a projection of how much of the cost? Because let me give you just an example. I know we were talking about replacing the covers in the swimming pools because we were losing in energy, and that was expensive. At one point when I sat down with the gentleman, when I used to belong to the Energy Efficiency Committee, we discussed how expensive those items were to replace. Do we have an accounting of like a projection, at least in the next 5 years, what all those things are going to cost?
We are working on that, and many times the city would adopt their operating budget at the same time as their capital improvement budget, and we're going to be doing that and bringing that back to you later as a separate item for the approval of the capital improvement project budget. And we have not, or the city has not had over the past few years, as far as I've looked back, a 5-year plan, and we're actually looking at putting that together right now. And that's a little bit of the delay because we're putting together a plan that has not been up to date.
And that would be my concern, that we may not be seeing the impact to our general fund budget if we don't know what those expenses are going to be. But anyways, just keep in the back of your mind that I really would like to see a 5-year projection to, all the costs, and so we can know where we're going to be in 5 years. We can't be saying we're going to have revenues and all this money if we have not accounted for all those expenditures. But thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I have one more question.
Yes,
sorry.
that's fine. That's fine.
I know that, say for instance, when I got a new water heater last December, I got a discount from California Gas, Southern California Gas, because I had an energy efficient water heater now. Is there anything like that that's being offered to our city that would give us some type of either a grant or whatever it is that would offset the expense that we're making because we are going for energy saving?
Yes, there are typically rebates, and but we don't always know when they're available and what the deadlines are, and so we did not include that at this time in the financial analysis. But the consultant will be working with us to apply for those rebates if and when they're available, and so that will make the picture even more positive. And if we're able to get any of those, we can bring back a final report at the end and report that to you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. At this point, any further questions? Okay, so at this point, the motion and second. Any objections? See none, so move. At this point, item 24. Are we doing this one, or do we bring it back? 23. 24. 20. We went ahead.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Aren't you doing 23?
Yes. 23 was a public hearing. Yeah, we did that one. So 24. Councilman Ricardo Pacheco. Selection of auditing firm to provide independent professional annual audit services.
Okay, we could bring that
If
back.
I could add, and I might want to ask Rose, I know this is a very timely issue because I believe, and she can report better on this, but the auditor really should be working now on the next year's budget. Rose, if you can comment on that.
Normally, all the city government agency, they start the interim audit in May. In normal circumstances.
Could we hold off?
We are kind of behind.
Can I ask?
She said in normal circumstances, so there must be that leeway. All right.
Normal.
All right. Exactly. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, Mayor. Then, what is staff asking us here to choose a firm at this point?
Yes, at the budget last study session, we had interviews for the 3 top firms scheduled. Only 2 of those appeared, and so those 2 firms are before you tonight for your selection. And I just do want to point out that due to the holidays, it's most likely we won't have a meeting July 6th, so our next meeting would be July 20th.
Okay, Mayor, I'll just propose that Vasquez and Company be selected as the firm for the auditing.
Okay.
My motion?
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? I'll go in second. Any objections?
Yes, because I'd like to hold it off until mid-July. She said normally that they do it in May, but I would really like to digest this.
Okay, so.
Well, there's a motion and a second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Madam City Clerk,
anybody object?
we could take roll call.
That's fine.
So the motion is yes. The motion
I
is
did
yes
a
by
second.
Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco for the auditing firm Vasquez. Okay, so roll call.
Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco.
Yes.
Councilmember Cruz Baca.
No.
Councilmember Susan Rubio.
No.
Mayor Potem Monica Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Manuel Lozano.
Yes, the motion passes 3-2 for the Vasquez firm. All right, so at this point, unless council members have anything prior to ending of the meeting, if not, I will move for adjournment. Second. Any objections? See none, so move. Viva Baldwin Park. Have a good evening, everyone.
Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's exactly what
in here.